Good evening, friends. I welcome you all on this Saturday evening during a Navratri time. So I acknowledge that in spite of so many engagements, people have spared time for something very worthwhile, a subject of your interest, of course, that's why you've come. So once again, good evening to you all and welcome our speaker, Mr. Sudhir Naik, a well-known person and in this industry for so many years. And a wonderful topic, the impact of semiconductor on global GDP and a journey from sand to silicon to satellite. And wonderfully put, you have coined the title very appropriately. And we are all aware, I'm not going to take much of time, but today it's like any chip or a semiconductor, I would put it equivalent to electricity, that without that, nothing would function. Many 3-4 decades ago, it was only computers or some devices. But today, we cannot imagine any small thing, any small gadget, device, diagnostics, or automobile, or any other kind of machinery, any kind of machine without a semiconductor is practically zero. And over the years, our dependency, the world's dependency on countries like China, Taiwan, then Vietnam, Korea, whatnot. But anyway, I'll leave that to the expert over here and give a very brief introduction of our esteemed speaker, Mr. Sudhir Naik, who is very much from Ahmedabad, and he's the chairman, Indian Electronics and Semiconductor Association of Gujarat chapter, and founder member of eInfochips, one of the very old companies involved in chip making, chip designing, making very much in Ahmedabad. And his background from alma mater is MS University, same as mine. Well, he did his BSc Physics and then Electronics, and he initially worked with Jyoti, one of the very well-known engineering companies in Baroda, always. And as I mentioned, is the founder of eInfochips, which is a pioneer in the semiconductor design in the country. An aero electronics company, eInfochips, is a leading provider of digital transformation and product engineering services. eInfochips accelerates time to market for its customers with emphasis on Internet of Things, machine learning, artificial intelligence, security, sensors, silicon, wireless, cloud, and power eInfochips. Power. eInfochips has been recognized as a leader in engineering, research, R&D services by many top analysts and industry bodies, including Gartner, Genov, ISG, IDC, NASSCOM, and many other bodies. Mr. Sudhir Naik has traveled more than 50 countries worldwide, and he's also a yoga teacher and an avid photographer, and you might have seen some of his photographs in Ahmedabad Mirror. So not wasting any more time, and before he begins, on behalf of all of you in AMA, I'll just present him a token of appreciation. Welcome.
Okay, very good evening to all of you, and I welcome you one and all who is present over here in the seminar. Also, I would like to thanks for gifting your time on Saturday, Navratri day. It's hard, it's very hard. At least I have 30 messages that we are not able to make it for various reasons, and which is understandable. After pandemic, everybody feels that rather than going for anything physically, if there is a recording, then why not to have at home and listen as and when time permits. So I think there is nothing wrong. I think the speaker should have same vigor, whether there are 100 people or 10 people, because ultimately this is going to be impacting the people who has a interest in the subject. I think that's more important, rather than having the audience of, and I said that it is not Morari Bapu Katha, that where you will find some thousands of people actually. This is a subject which is a current subject. I also would like to take this opportunity to thanks Vaidya Sahib, all the management committee, Unmesh Dixit ji, and everyone over here. She helped a lot in presentation for providing this platform and sharing my views with you people. I think before I go into the deep down into the subject, I will not make it too much of technical. However, the subject itself is such that we have to have some discussion on how what is semiconductor. I think unless until you understand that word. And for that you have to deep down. The subject which he said that we have crafted nicely is in two parts. One is, the first part is the impact on global economy. And number two is how the silicon is made. So before I deep down into the entire subject, I will start with Shanti Mantra. In our culture, in our Sanskriti, we have 109 Upanishads. Out of there, 12 are well recognized. And when you start any Upanishad, you start with Shanti Mantra. The Shanti Mantra is like this. I will not translate and bore you on that actually, but I think it is critical. Why it is critical? Because no matter whatever advancement take place in technology, it is all derived from nature. In true sense, nothing has been invented actually. This is my strong belief. And I don't think we have 8 still problems which we are not able to even understand. Forget about solving it. There are 8 questions which I have been circulating to people which are not answered in terms of understanding, not creating anything. So, Sahna vartu, sahno bunaktu, saviryam karva vahai, tejasvina vadhi tamastu ma vidvisa vahai. The way this Upanishad Shanti Mantra and Om Shanti Shanti, 3 types of Shantis. So what same thing is happening to technology. Whenever you discuss any subject on technology, I think I have a Shanti Mantra of 3 questions. Why? How? And third is, if not now, when? So the subject also is divided that way. First is why part. Why semiconductor? Why we, and how the semiconductor is made. And then, if not today, why we are discussing semiconductor as a subject at Ahmedabad Management Association today evening, Saturday evening. I think all the 3 things are extremely critical. So let us start with this. In pandemic, as I think Raida sir has said, that everybody has felt the impact. Now, if we talk on the why part, I have a very simple question. If you see my even hashtag for long time, it was why one gets up in the morning. There is no need. There are 7 billion people. Many of them do not get up. And even if you don't get up in the morning, doesn't matter. Nothing is going to change. But you get up. So then you ask, why the hell I get up in the morning? That means you have a purpose of your life or you have a goal. So once you set your goal, once you have a purpose, then you will figure it out that how part. You say, okay, then I have to go for morning walk to keep my physique fit so that I can work for a long time. And I want to remain fit because I want to work more. I want to get money. I want to have fame. Now, if you say that this is Navratri, I sleep only at 2 o'clock, I cannot get up. So I will start from tomorrow. Then entire Navratri pass. Then it says that Dasera is there. So I don't think Dasera we can do anything. Then Diwali is going to come. So you will keep postponing. So if you keep postponing, it will not materialize. So if you have to be in good health, you have to do it today. Today morning you have to get out of your bed and make it a practice. Similar thing when you are talking about semiconductor impact on pandemic. 2 things was very striking to me actually. One is that Dolo 650. From nowhere, I don't know how it becomes the household word. Dolo, everybody talks about Dolo 650. He say, have you kept Dolo 650? I say, what it is? Then this, and Remdesivir. These were the 2 things which was the findings of COVID-19, in my opinion. Likewise, the entire world has come to standstill. And economy definitely gets impacted when such thing happens. Now, if you think of today's world, I think Mukesh Ambani once said that data is the oil. I will not buy that. I will say semiconductor is oil. Because you can live without oil for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You cannot live without semiconductor even 1 hour. In the morning, as soon as you get up at 5:30, first thing is to check mobile, what time is it? When I go for a walk, I find out how many steps I made, how many calories I consume. You just presume right now, close your eyes and think that, let's say semiconductor stops working for 1 hour. I think it will be, you will go mad. Nothing will be there. This will not be there, this will not be there, lights will not be there, nothing is there. So you cannot imagine life without semiconductor. That is the state we have reached. Now when we are talking about the economy, my daughter, she stays in San Jose. She is also, fortunately or unfortunately, in the same industries. And she is there, she went after 12th, and she is working there. So she got a Tesla S model. And it was booked by the company. She got as a gift. I don't want to go into that part of it. But so she did not receive it for 14 months because of pandemic. She built a new home. She ordered microwave. She didn't get it for 14 months. Now, these are very small things. Forget about not having the automotive industries on the stream and all those things, but small thing got impacted. Now, you just visualize that if the semiconductor has not been available, it has created a major impact. Semiconductor per se doesn't contribute too much to the global GDP. Do you know what is the global GDP today in terms of $1 trillion? Any idea? It's close to $100 trillion. Just to give the idea, it is around $100 trillion. And semiconductor contribution 10 years before was 0.25%. Today it is 0.5%. So it is not exactly 100 trillion, it is somewhere around 92 trillion. So if you take 0.5 of that, it comes to 450 to 650 billion dollars. That is the semiconductor. But the impact of not available in semiconductor on the end product is phenomenal. You just cannot put into numbers. That is the impact of semiconductor in today's life actually. You name the things, you see the things. It cannot be made, it cannot work without semiconductor. Our dependency semiconductor is as good as blood. So he has become a lifeline of any human. I think, okay, I will myself will go to the. This is the just GDP I have tried to put down. That number can vary little bit here and there actually. And you must have heard Narendra Bhai talking about reaching 5th largest economy. Now GDP is also very different terms actually. If you take purchase power parity, PPP, GDP changed significantly. It's not the same GDP when you talk about that because we are talking in terms of dollar, US dollar. Today it is around 82 rupees a dollar. Now what you can buy in $1 is equivalent to let's say 80 rupees. In 80 rupees, India you can get the meal. US you cannot get even one idli in $1. So if you take purchase power parity, then our economy is much better in my personal opinion. I don't want to debate on that, but if you look at this, the difference between India and US GDP, you look at it, where we are. Though in terms of population, we are 140 crore people actually. So that is the state actually, world GDP is there. And I have put Taiwan. I think you have to keep Taiwan in mind actually for all time to come when you think of semiconductor. And there are reasons for that, which you will see when I nail down in my more slides, you will see this thing actually. So let us keep it over here, because the whole first para of today's topic is impact on GDP. Now TSMC is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. The title, if you look at it, demystify the global chip shortage. Now we all talk that chips are not available. So everything is not moving and there is a problem. It's not a 100% true statement. If you look at the numbers of the performance of the revenue of TSMC, you see how much it is increasing. That means they were not shut down. That's not an issue. You look at the numbers, year-wise. There is no downgrade. They have increased significantly for all this time. 20, 21%. These are positive, not negative. Bear in mind. Then what is the issue? There is some issue because the chips are manufactured and they control 90% of the world high-end chips. We will discuss what is high-end chips, what is low geometry chips. I will take you there also. But they control 90% of the chips which are used in mobile and laptop primarily. They are on 5 nanometer, these things. So they were manufacturing chips. So what happens in my personal opinion, that when the issue of pandemic came, within 1 month's time, people start realizing that we don't know when this is going to end. So we have to find a way out. So people find the way out of working from home. Now, when you start working from home, you need either laptop or mobile, which can have video. Now it is only working from home. Education started from home. Then next. So everything went to working remotely. And US people started telling that if you are working from Ahmedabad or if you are working for Jundri Tamalya, I have no problem, as long as you deliver what we want. So it got very well established. So because of that, all the laptop manufacturer, all the mobile manufacturers, not only that, if this is a end, last mile, laptop and mobile, but then you have to get connected. So entire network has to be made available. Now all of a sudden, if the demand of bandwidth goes up significantly, you need infrastructure of routers and switches and whatnot. So they went to all the foundries and booked them for 18 months. So after the pandemic effect, when it got over, these people, automotive people and all those things, this is now there is a pickup in the market, economy started moving, so let's manufacture. So they went to these foundries and they say, please take this order. They say, sorry, we are booked for 18 months. You stand in the queue. This is one of the reasons of not moving the things the way it should move. There are other reasons which we will see, but I wanted to highlight that TSMC was doing great. If you look at the bottom 2 lines, just read it. What it says is, Taiwan economy grows fastest since 2010 as TSMC gives the boost. And stock market has climbed by 15%. And Taiwanese dollar has gone up by 24% in 24 years. It has gone very high because they were booming. I think we talk on that everything has semiconductor, so I don't want to dwell upon that. Now, the second reason for the problem is, as stated over here, the supply chain is very, very fragile. And it is going to remain that way for a long time, till we increase the chip production. But it is not as simple as we are talking about increase the chip production actually. Why it is so? Because US was leading for manufacturing of the chips. Intel was the first company to set up a foundry to design and manufacture chips actually. We will go there also little later. But they were pioneer. And then they slumped. They outsourced to Israel first, all the manufacturing. And then things moved out and they wanted design only actually. And the place is called Silicon Valley, though there is no silicon per se. Even Bangalore is called Silicon Valley of India, but there is no silicon available over there actually. So everybody started looking because of pandemic, and second most important reason is geopolitical instability. China has always been triggering at Taiwan. And if something goes wrong in Taiwan, once again we will have a bad impact even than pandemic as far as the semiconductor is concerned. So people thought that no matter what happens, let's become independent. Same if you have seen over here, I think there is Economic Times, where Narendra Bhai's ad is there actually on Economic Times, full page ad, that all of your mobile and everything will have chips made in Ahmedabad or in Gujarat actually. So even government of Gujarat has also sanctioned, government of India has sanctioned $10 billion. And earlier they were planning to give only 30% of the capex. Now they have, just week before they again tweaked it. They made it 50% of the capex. Any foundry setting up is nothing less than, depending upon the node, 5 billion to 20 billion, whatever you can do that. That is only for foundry. So everybody is putting, and it is, Biden also has sanctioned $52 billion recently. In 10 years' time, United States is going to invest $850 billion in setting up the fab. Still, they will not become completely independent. And the cost of chip will go up by 65%, even they do it. Because the supply chain is so fragile and is so complex, you cannot imagine even. Just see the first line. Do you know what is the circumference of Earth? Do you know the radius? 6,400 kilometers. So 2 pi r is the circumference, which is around 40,350 kilometers or so actually. One chip, starting from sand to, it comes to end user hand, it travels anywhere from 50,000 kilometers. Sometimes it is take 2 rounds of Earth surface. That is how the supply chain is made for one reason or other. The primary reason is that the silica from sand which silica is made, I think China is producing around 6 million tons of silica, and next is Russia. Though 1/4 of the earth is silica, and entire whatever dirt you see is all silica actually, but still we are not able to do that actually. The most important point is number 3. And this still surprises that why people cannot think that we have a very, very weak link into entire supply chain. Now, if Netherlands controls the equipment of lithography, then what is going to happen actually? They will become another point of concern. So, United States has anyway started. Because USA, one thing is for very clear. When it comes to R&D, I think nobody can beat them. They invest very heavily in research and development. Extremely dedicated. Balance, everybody try to modify it, including Japan, Europe, whatever you takes it. But that is what happens. As I said, Taiwan produces over 90% of the world's most advanced 5 nanometer and 7 nanometer semiconductor. Intel has been struggling for last 3 years to come out with 7 nanometer chips. They have not succeeded. Maybe they drop off that idea. Whereas Taiwan Semiconductor is right now working for 3 and 2 nanometer. At least Pranav is there. We have tapped out 7 nanometer 40 chips SoC by now actually. So Taiwan is way ahead. And that's the reason that even after putting $850 billion in 10 years, when I'm saying that become independent means entire supply chain to the final chips coming into hand. If that you want to achieve, it's a tremendous task. Anyway, I had talked on that. I will not touch upon that. Okay, the inventory is another issue. People used to keep 40 days inventory, which came down to 5 days, and then it tapered off completely. Mobile and laptops uses 7 nanometer, as I talked to you earlier. Again, 40% to 7, 12%, because they outsource. See, any manufacturing in last 20 years, if you look at the US or 30 years, there is nothing manufacturing in USA. Either it is any other things are in China or Bangladesh, India, wherever it is, but they are not in the manufacturing. They don't want to do all that, they call it a gada work. They don't want to do this gada work. They want to do only intelligent work where the margins are higher. So these are a volume game, where the margin are less, but the volume is much larger. And they want to do, I just shared with you, I was there in January this year. And wherever I go, I found that there is a board that we are hiring. Everywhere there is a vacancy because nobody wants to work. During pandemic, they started giving $3,000 per person per month. So it was, if you have your own house and if you get in US $3,000 per person, I think you are done. There is no need to work. So they go to pub on Friday and enjoy life, and they say, why should we work? Even truck drivers. If you today see all the people from India go to Canada, they take that, and then they take a license of truck driver and they go to US. Very innovative. Indians are extremely innovative. There is no doubt on that actually. That is the logic I give actually. Since I am just sidetracking, I am not keeping tab on time. So you tell me accordingly I will sitting this because people will have to go actually. And I can talk for 2 hours, but I think that's not important. Just keep tab on this thing. So people ask why India is so good in IT and IT industries actually. And if you are not knowing Mr. Devang Mehta, who was from Gujarat, he is the man who branded India in IT and ITS worldwide. Whole credit, NESCOM is there, but it is one man. He dedicatedly, he made the flag flying, and people started accepting India. Now my logic for why Indians are good, because from by birth, we are in a very odd situation. If you have to go to Kalupur, you will first start thinking, how should I travel? What I take so that, okay, Chhagda is there, 6 people, how much? Up to what point Chhagda you can go, what point bus you can go. So jaldi, economical, immediately, all those attributes he will, without any computer, without any laptop, he will figure it out, or she will figure it out. And they will put to use. So they have learned to work in adversity by birth. There is no immunity. I don't think COVID can, if you go to that Hollywood, Bollywood, there was no COVID. Nothing happened because they are already immune. So Indians are very, very innovative in all respect because it is in their DNA. It is not by design. It is not by chance. It is not by, but it is by design. Our DNA is like that, and that is why we are too good. And IT is that only. It is a full logic. Like we talk of binary 0, 1. So you figure it out, how to figure it out, the things. And we are too good in that actually. So anyway, I just digress, but I think that is the reason we are so good. And we are hungry. I think number 2 is Indians are very hungry, all the students. If you go to Bay Area, I think there are better South Indian restaurants than in Ahmedabad. And every third person is a South Indian or Indian at least. I don't want to differentiate South Indian or Indian, but every third person is Indian. It is that much booming. If you see all CEO of all tech company, they are all Indians. Not only that, even for Pepsi and this and MasterCard and you name the things. All these are indicative that Indians by DNA and by design, very intelligent people. Only thing they don't get environment. It is like if land is fertile, but if the seeds are not properly taken care of, then what will happen actually? Same thing is happening to the people, doctors and everybody is going, flying out. Actually, yesterday or 10 days before I read in the newspaper, 8,000 HNA, high net worth people, they are planning to go to leave India because they feel the quality of the life is much better over there actually. So things are changing. In our own company in Infochips, we are fortunate. So many people who has come, who has worked with all big semiconductor companies. When the children grew up, they came back because they want to have the culture inculcated in their children. And that is why we are able to have the senior people. Otherwise, Gujarat, there was no, why in India there was nothing was heard like chip designing. But I think this expat came and they brought a lot of experience. In fact, the person who was leading our chip design has worked for I think 15, 20 years from Motorola, Freescales. And likewise, there is a guy from Baroda, I was talking about Pradeep Thakur. He was heading Marvel Semiconductor worldwide and likewise. So 90% of the biggies have R&D center in India. All of them have R&D center in India. 90% of the people. 10% only are not there. And out of that 90%, 80% have in Bangalore, followed by Pune, Chennai, Noida, Gurgaon. Ahmedabad is not on the map. Yeah, all those people. So, what I'm saying that design China and Taiwan, they still control, with no matter whether we like or we don't like, as far as manufacturing concerned. Now, if you look at the semiconductor as a chip, it has even in India, there are very few chip design engineers who have seen the fab, how the chips are manufactured. All our technology and knowledge base, because we are all follow North America, where the money is good, business is easy to do relatively because they are straightforward compared to Japan or Europe or anything. So we have also moved in chip design. So what happens is that all designing houses in India have knowledge only up to designing the chip. We call it up to GDS2. So it has three parts. There is architect, then you have a logic design, pure design, verification, and then backend. Backend is where place and routing. Like you are making a PCB, so you have to make a layout. So likewise, you have to make a layout of the entire semiconductor chip, whether whatever size or whatever node it is, but you have to do that actually. So up to that point, we have a knowledge. Beyond that, we have no idea. We have only two small fab actually. One is 180 nanometer in Chandigarh, Mohali, and it has also a reason for our defense sector. They don't want to depend on anybody on their chips actually. So, and it is a very orthodox industry. When it comes to defense and avionics, they are extremely orthodox because they want tried and tested things. So still they are using 180 nanometer technology in most of their chips, and they are doing it over there actually. So to that extent, we have some know-how. When China put up 4 to 5 fabs, they took at least 400 people from Taiwan for 3 years to China. And then they trained the people over there, and then they moved back. Same thing will happen when this, if you see Vedanta and Foxconn project of $20 billion is announced. So when it is come under implementation and when you have to start manufacturing, we will have to get the people from elsewhere and make the training program. And I think there are people who are very opportunistic as well as they think ahead. So I think they are starting the schools. So I think you will have school for backend as well and manufacturing as well after this verification is done. So by the way, starting the VLSI school immediately on this November 5th, starting with verification. Saptarshi Academy. He is ex-SAC, Space Application Center. He just retired. And he is passionate about it. It's not about money. But he wants to do something. We want to create an ecosystem. I think that's the whole plan actually. So we work jointly with him. Our entire team is helping. We will provide whatever we can. And we are also selfish. We will get some good guys from him. So it's not free. Sure. As I said, Intel has announced $99 billion already. Ohio, Texas, they are going to put it up because they want to become independent and they will do that actually. As I said, $850 billion is going to come in USA just for this industry. Think of the potential. This slide will give you some idea, but I will not read out because you can see that. You can spend 2 minutes on scanning it through it actually. Intel was number one for many years. Currently Samsung is leading, and primarily it is because of memory. So memory chips are primarily made only by Samsung. So there are two companies in the world who design and manufacture chips. One is Samsung and another is Intel. Rest all design and then the manufacturing is done outside this thing actually. So the semiconductor, per se pure semiconductor market is in the vicinity of in 2022 by December, I think it will be around $650 billion around that total semiconductor market. in terms of PCs actually, and these are the companies. I have not listed others, but these are the major people. Right now there is a little slump, and if you look at the share price of AMD and NVIDIA, they have taken a dip actually. That is the situation. But 4 times it has gone more than 30%, the share price of these companies. And 2 times it has fallen more than 15%, once in 2008 and some other time actually. It's a cyclic business. What happens is you manufacture chip, you cannot manufacture 5, 10. So they manufacture in bulk and then it is stored, and as long as the stock lies, then they don't do anything actually. This is some numbers to give the perspective how this is impacting the GDP of any company even. You look at the Apple. They have paid $70 billion to app developer by now. See, 1 billion today is 8,200 crore rupees into 70. If you look at their revenue, is 365 billion, out of which mobile phones give them around 190 billion. Rest all balance, they are also in the laptop and Mac, wearables, and so many other products actually. They are the most valued company right now, and their I think total cash available, they can buy around 50 countries if they want to do this. That's the kind of situation, and primarily because of the iPhone. And the iPhone price, I just bought i13 when I was there. It's around 1,30,000 rupees here. You cannot think of, that was not my salary for the entire year when I started working actually. It was hardly $500 per month, 6,000 rupees. So that's the change actually. Electronics, however, there is a one fundamental rule when you talk about electronics product. Price always falls. You take anything. You take TV, you take mobile. After 6 months, this will be available at no price, means practically nothing. Because they have brought the concept of use and throw. For 2 reasons. The shelf life of the component also is not there, and because of this semiconductor chip, you can't repair it. How do you take it out, the chip actually? The stuffing is done differently. It is not a PCB where you can remove and solder it actually. So what you can replace is the glass and those kind of things, cover and all that actually. Beyond that, there is nothing to repair. Laptop also, life is 3 years. So today, if you have seen, Narendra Bhai has launched 5G. So he was talking about numbers that we have 85 crore internet connections, and likewise, I think 19 crore mobile. So mobile also, life is 2 years. Everybody, 30% mobile replace every year. That itself is a big market. And then the new mobile comes. So there are 2 kind of buyers. One is compulsory they have to throw out because nothing works. Like unless until you have an i7 processor in this laptop, you cannot load 365. So you are forced to go for new one. So they are creating market in that fashion. If you take a watch, digital watch, how do you repair it? Nothing. I took it to the repair. He says throw it off, buy new one, it will be cheaper. So, but iPhone is the thing actually. If you look at India, today we are importing, our import bill for semiconductor is second after oil. And by 2026, it will exceed oil. The reason is oil is going to fall consumption because of EV and hydrogen and so many other things people are trying. So it will naturally it will go down, though the usage increase, but the kind of the fuel which they are going to use is going to be electricity or something else actually. Whereas semiconductor is going to increase. So it is estimated that semiconductor consumption is going to increase at 19% CAGR. So it will reach $300 billion in 2026. And the oil bill may be somewhere around 220 billion by that time actually. Currently they are almost neck to neck actually. So I think that is a kind of the thing. As far as the semiconductor is concerned, we are buying right now $2.5 billion worth of semiconductor from outside, semiconductor. This is an ecosystem. Balanced thing, what you see is the product made out of it. Like we said that we are manufacturing mobile phone, but we are not manufacturing mobile phone. We are assembling. We are not manufacturing TV panel, we are assembling. So all the red which you see is all assembly work, we are doing it over here and we will continue to do that. Even if you put up a fab, it will take 4 years minimum, though they call it 2 years, but nothing less than 3 years you can start manufacturing anything. And that to low geometry, which is good enough for us. But that is how the semiconductor is impacting the GDP of the Gujarat state. I can assure you one thing, if there is always a gap, as people say, between cup and lips. It is a MOU still today. But if they really start this plant in Gujarat, anywhere, wherever they decide, the whole GDP of Gujarat will change dramatically. Anybody has visited Hsinchu, Taiwan, out of this? So you go and look at the Hsinchu, the way these two fab and the entire ecosystem which they have created over there. They put up a new building for any node. When I was there in 2000, just before pandemic, on the New Year, 17 January or so, with TSMC guys over there actually. And they were showing me that this is 5 nanometer, that next building is 3 nanometer, next building is 2 nanometer. Like that actually. That kind of deep pocket you need. I don't know whether I have shown this slide or not, but Taiwan has semiconductor, TSMC is contributing 5% of the GDP of Taiwan. They have embarked in 12 months to invest $44 billion in new technology. $44 billion. Whereas their revenue is not like that. But they have a deep pocket. And their maximum investment was in China. Now they have shifted. They are going to do it in US because of the issue. I will not dwell, but you can see this, the highest 51% is mobile and wearables. In India, if we have 100 crore mobile phones and 30% of that replaces every year, that itself is a massive market here. And then accessories. You will surprised to see the accessories market. I don't have number over here, but it is a huge market. If you see all the people, their shops, every third shop is either a pan shop or a mobile shop. And what you people buy, you cannot, even the pods, they are costing 28,000 rupees and 32,000 rupees. Wearables watch of Apple costing 30,000 rupees. So it's going crazy. And it will remain like that. I don't think it is going to change. So I don't want to go into the details because I saw the watch and I have so many things to talk here. So now there are two things are very distinct. That manufacturing of semiconductor is one aspect and consumption of semiconductor is another aspect. So US still consume 47% of the semiconductor. Though the majority is manufactured by China and Taiwan, the consumption of electronics, all these SoC or chip or ASIC, whatever you want to name it, it's consumed almost 47% in US right now. Also, the another beauty is they are importing everything from China. However, they are, as far as this subject is concerned, they are $350 billion plus in trades, because all design take place in USA. So when they buy the design and IPs, it's very, very expensive. So they have a surplus of $350 billion when it comes to the semiconductor. What they take from China and what they supply to China. That's how they are balancing. That's why I made statement that they don't want to do Gada work. This also I don't want to. I think this is just, I will run through it, that the most exciting time of physics or electronics was at the era of Thomas Alva Edison actually. It goes back to 1850 to 1950. If you take that era, what has happened during that time, I don't think it can ever happen. And there are people, this diode, I think you understand diode is allow the current to flow in one direction. It is like valve. So if the water is flowing, it will allow water to flow only in one direction. Water cannot go up. If you are taking from tank, then if there is a tap, water will come here, but it cannot go back. Similar thing diode is doing actually. And it was first, even when I studied at MS University, I have not seen semiconductor. Myself, semiconductor transistor and Gujarat University, Practically they were born in the same era. So we used to do all experiments on these gas-filled devices. If you have seen in my age group people, there were radios with those kind of things, and then there is a valves, and you take 12-volt battery from tractor in villages and run it. There was no, but it was a 12-volt running whole thing actually. And those were the days actually. So we were studying that. So first diode, which is vacuum diode, was invented in 1904 by Ambrose Fleming, and he used to work with Edison. So Edison has created electricity, but he couldn't go to the diode, triode and other things actually. And afterwards, in 1906, they introduced diode is a cathode and anode. So the current flows from cathode to anode. That is the standard phenomena, one way. It cannot come down to this. So when I think Edison was doing some experiment, he inserted something in between. And he found that the things are changing dramatically. So they introduced grid in between these two in the gas. And once the gas gets ionized at that temperature, it becomes conductive. So that has invented switch, and it is amplifier, both the things. So once you put the gate current, transistor either will short, so it will become a on, 1 or 0, and you remove, it will become 0. But it is a semiconductor, so we will go there. So that was the first invention in 1906. In 1947, the first diode was semiconductor. Things were presented as a concept level in 1940 by Bell. Graham Bell, also people must have heard his name, actually those who are coming from physics. And Niels Bohr, who invented this electron and other quantum physics theory and all those things during those era. In somewhere around 1960, slowly semiconductor, since it developed in 1947, it started picking up because of so many reasons. I think I have seen both these devices. At my home there was a radio and ball radio, and then we got transistor radio. So we used to call it a transistor only, not radio. It was known as a transistor. So that is how it happened actually. A transistor lao to bhai. So it changed in 1960 slowly. I think all the tube got disappeared. So I think that is the point where it took up the semiconductor entered into market actually, somewhere in 1960. Now what is semiconductor? Semiconductor is the name itself is self-explanatory. It is semiconductor. Conductor is which allow currents to flow. Like wood is a insulator, plastic is an insulator. But if you put a water into wood, it becomes conductor. But they invented something which is in between, which is neither pure insulator nor conductor actually. And I think that happened. I think I should. I will not spend more time, but I just wanted to let you know in fast forward, that anything you see in the world around you is a matter. Matter is defined which take a space and mass. Now any matter is made up of elements. If you take a gold, the gold is a matter. Now if you break gold, even small piece, it will still remain gold. It is called AU in periodic table. Now you cannot go beyond a point to break it. And you cannot, and even if you see in microscope, you will not be able to see the atom. So each metal can be considered made up of small element, and all elements are made of atoms. Now what is atom? Atom can be looked upon as walnut, akhrot, which has in center proton and neutron, which is positively charged called proton. Neutron has mass only, it has no charge. And electrons are like a cover, outer shell. Or you take a solar system, sun and then planets are revolving around that actually. So these are all electrons which are negatively charged. And proton, and they form the nucleus. Now in periodic table is We have not invented, we have arranged. Matter cannot be produced, it cannot be destroyed. It is like E equal to mc square kind of phenomena. Energy cannot be created, it cannot be stored, it can be only transformed. Same thing, no matter can be manufactured. So there are 92 atoms which we have identified by now and 109 elements, and they are arranged in a periodic table. Now, out of, if there are 92 atoms, then there cannot be more than that elements, because each element is made of one or more identical atoms. So what happens is they modified. That is how it has gone up to 109 elements. I will not take you more than that, but then when you want to make a transistor, it's called a junction transistor, bipolar junction transistor. It is a sandwich. There is a P type of material. There is a small video, at that time you will be able to see why the doping is done actually. So if silicon and germanium, they are having a 4 valence electrons in their outermost shell. The periodic table it is 14 because its proton is 14 and neutrons are 15, but outer shell has 4. Germanium same thing, but germanium didn't become popular, only silicon became popular because at high temperature germanium has a very high leakage current, and once the leakage current is there it cannot function the way it should be functioning. So germanium has a 4 electrons in the outermost shell, and same thing is for germanium. So it started with germanium, but people then went for silicon. Second reason is in the earth, second largest available matter is silicon, and in the universe, entire universe, it is the 7th largest thing available on the earth, and at no cost. You have to just only do that actually. So now what happens when you want to, pure silicon is not a conductor. That's the primary thing. So you have to add some impurity into it. So there are 2 kinds of impurity, N type of impurity and P positive impurity. So if there are 4 electrons in the outer shell or outer orbit, you just imagine 4 holes are there available. You take another atom which has a 5 electrons. Now you put them together. So what happens? 4 will get filled in into 4. They will make the pair. 1 is left out. Now it is an electron left out. So it is called N type. Now reverse. You take a boron which has a 3 electrons in the outer surface. Now when you put on silicon which has a 4 holes, 3 will go. 1 less to accept. So it becomes positive. So it becomes P type of semiconductor. So I will not explain more and don't go there, but that is how it is made actually. And then PNP or NPN is made. This is what exactly this picture is showing it to you. That in the outer surface boron has 3, silicon has 4, and phosphorus has 5. In 1947, first transistor came up. Then 1948, first commercial transistor sold by Bell, very first time. 1960, MOSFET came into it. There are limitations on that bipolar transistor, so they went for MOSFET. And then now it is FE MOSFET and likewise. But it is same thing, transistor primarily. It is a switch or it is an amplifier. You increase the base current till it reaches into saturation, it will have a more collector current. So you apply nanoampere, and you will have milliampere. That kind of situation. So it is an amplifier. And then 1961, first chip with 10 transistor. In 1960, we are talking about very recent, 1960. I was born already by that time. And then 1965, number of transistors went up significantly, 64 actually, in 1965. And in 1975, number of transistors still jumped significantly to 65,000. So there was a Gordon Moore who defined this. I have a slide on him also. He defined that every 18 months, the number of transistors in a given size will double. So it started happening that way actually. Till yesterday it was valid. Right now it is a challenge because it has shrunk so much, and the number of transistors, when I will tell you those numbers, you will go mad actually, that each chip, semiconductor chip, how many transistors they are accommodating. This is about Intel processor, if you look at it. Latest, last I will tell you, because that is not mentioned over here. i7 is the latest model, by and large, which use it. It has a 3 billion transistor. 3 billion. And when it started, 8085 and all those things, you can see the number of transistors. It was nothing. So the Moore's law is not, it is not equal to MC square. It was an observation made by Moore, that this is how I can see happening things. And then it was coined the Moore's law. And we all understand and write Moore's law only even today also. But this is the advent. From 1971 to 2022, it has gone to $3 billion transistors. If you look at every second they produce 5 billion transistors, Intel, and it can take over 20 million transistors for every man, woman and child on earth. The third generation Intel core processor, quad core, contains 1.48 billion transistors. If you look at the iPhone 14, can you imagine how many transistors will be there once having known this number? Otherwise you cannot guess, but once you know this number, it's around 141 billion transistor in i14. It calculates 1 trillion transaction in 1 second. 1 trillion transaction in 1 second. Think of the speed of the crystal and this clock at which it will be operating. And if you have to design the things at that speed on such a small die, it has a signal, noise, hundreds of things. As I said, core i7 has 3 billion transistors. This is how the FET looks like. I was telling you. So it has a source and drain, like emitter and collector. Similar thing is replicated over here. And if you look in the 1959, 62, 63, 64, I already explained. In 65, it has 64 transistors. That's how the evolution of thing has happened. Also, I would like to take pause for a moment and tell you, everything is related to what nature has created. We have not been able to create even one electron till date. We have not created one proton. We have not created one neutron. We have identified. We have not created any metal. We will not be able to create any metal. Likewise, 7 million years before, people spotted there was a fish came out. And then everything started, some fish started coming on the land. And evolution took place and we became from gorilla to man. Now, we are in this shape. 2 hands, 2 legs, 1 nose, 2 eyes, 2 ears. Is for how many years? Donkeys, hundreds of years, we are in the same shape. That means our physical evolution has stopped. But our intellectual evolution has been going up and up. Same thing is happening to the semiconductor industry. It has reached now where you cannot accommodate more transistors. You cannot have high speed. It will happen. So, what I am saying that human has not stopped. We are becoming more and more intelligent. But even you take a cow, you take a dog, you take any living things, it has stopped growing physically. It is growing intellectually, but not physically. And everything we derive from nature only, like what we say that GPS, like your NAVIC chip. So all this flamingo had a NAVIC chip since how many years? By birth. They come all the way from Siberia over here and go back without GPS. You know, dolphin comes from Australia to all the way to Porbandar. They will have babies. They will take the baby with them and go back. And they will never miss. Even our fireflies, they have invented electricity and LED in those years. We are talking about LED now. But that was there actually. I don't think we are doing anything new in my personal opinion. We are just identifying and emulating for the better human machine interface. That is what I will put it actually. That is how we are developing things. So I am reflecting sometimes, but I think it is interesting to have this observation. Then you will understand that I don't think there is anything new actually which we are doing. Even if you look at the name, mouse and all those things, it is all derived from where actually? Byte. 1 byte. Same thing, we had byte from birth. And you see, second thing, that we have to make our children walk and teach them, talk, all those things, because we have two distinct things God has given to man. One is intelligence and another is speech, which no one has actually. But we have to teach our children. But I come out from the village, I am a farmer. So many times our buffalo and cows, they used to deliver babies on the way and they have to cross the pond in between. So they, even by birth, they know swimming. And it is not in DNA. If it is in DNA, then if I know the swimming, my daughter should, when she is born, she should know swimming, but I have to teach her. So I don't think it is in the DNA. It is something which is a mystery and which we have not solved. That's what I am trying to explain you. Okay, as I said, in 1965, Gordon Moore, he formed with one of the guy, Intel. He is still alive. Gordon Moore is still alive. He is 93. His worth is $12 billion even today, from the shares he had in those days from Intel. And earlier there was an issue. It was a monopolistic business. US is always believe in that, no, monopoly. So Intel, Philips, Fairchild, Shockley, all those people, you know that those names. They were designing and they were having fab, they were manufacturing. There was no info chips. There was no design houses in those days because it was completely guarded. TSMC was first foundry, which is a pure foundry. They are not in the design. They decided that we will take these people head on. And they did it. It took first 4 years to reach certain level, and within I think 7 to 8 years they could reach where the Intel technology was there. Yeah, I think in 4 to 5 years they say it is. So TSMC is leader with 49% market share. UMC is also there. SMIC, there are so many foundries. Now, I talked to you about transistor. Now we talk about the semiconductor chips. So they are made from the silicon wafers. And is Deepesh there? Deepesh, can you play the video? I'm cutting down.
What is silicon wafer? Today, in an age where electronics are used in almost all aspects of our daily lives, there is hardly anyone who is not familiar with silicon chips. It is also known by its technical term, silicon wafers. Simply speaking, silicon wafers are very thin slices of silicon ingots that are used in numerous electronics and other components and act as excellent semiconductors. Silicon wafers are also known as silicon slices or silicon substrates. These are thin films of silicon material which are widely used in today's computers and other advanced electronic devices. Apart from these uses, silicon wafers are also being increasingly used in manufacturing highly efficient solar cells. The silicon wafer acts as a substrate for microelectronic devices and is usually built in with the electronic component base to be a reliable component of integrated circuits. Let's learn a little about silicon first. Silicon is not only the second most abundant mineral on Earth, but it is also the 7th most abundant substance in the entire universe. This means that it is widely located and easily mined from the Earth's crust. How are silicon wafers made? Silicon wafers are manufactured from highly pure single crystals of silicon. There are several types of processes that are used worldwide to produce the ideal silicon wafers. The most famous and reliable silicon wafers manufacturing process is the Czochralski method, named after the Polish scientist Jan Czochralski. This process involves forming a cylinder-shaped ingot of pure monocrystalline silicon. This method involves pulling a seed crystal from the melt compound. There are requirements where the silicon wafers need to be either an N-type or P-type extrinsic semiconductor. For this, the manufacturing process will also include a step where a dopant is mixed before pulling the single silicon crystal and forming the cylindrical silicon ingot. This dopant can be in the form of phosphorus or boron. Using an advanced cutting tool, these cylindrical silicon ingots are then sliced into extremely thin pieces horizontally. This creates the round and thin silicon wafers that we generally use in our daily electronic items. With this reliable manufacturing and advanced cutting technique, we are able to provide silicon wafers measuring in thickness from 10 micrometer to 1 millimeter and having diameters ranging between 25.4 millimeter or 1 inch to 450 millimeter or 17.6 inches. These silicon wafers provide surface resistivity ranging between less than 1 ohms per square to around 50,000 ohms per square. What are silicon wafers used for? There are the numerous uses and applications of silicon wafers today.
I think we are running out of time actually. So I will pause here. I will take questions if you have. There are a lot of things to talk, but I think you will not be able to digest so many things in one go. So I will leave it over here. I am open for the questions.
Thank you, Sudhir Bhai. It's been a wonderful evening, a great take home for all of us, really enriching. He's not only a great entrepreneur, but a living encyclopedia. We can see it in this subject. And the amount of work he's doing for joining hands with the government, and maybe he's a catalyst for growth for Gujarat because there's tremendous potential. And so I wish you all the best. And I'm sure we will have him again on different forum. And I also thank you all for coming, and also not forgetting Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Your President, Mr. Dave Dagaji, are here. So thanks for this association. And
for supporting this event.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
Past chair is past chair.
thank you all for the evening. Yeah. No. Thanks all for investing your time on this Saturday evening. Yeah.